So you've been massage therapist for many years. You know, you've got to keep your hands.
Do you know, if I literally imagine for this advantage, that if I see how easy that is around my hands here, if I had had one of these for the 23 years that I was providing sports massage to, you know, from literally from, you know, jockeys to big people, you know, it's literally very tired, a little bit arthritis in the fingers, and it's very, very tiring, you know. So if I'd have got that, then that would actually helped me an awful lot and saved maybe some of the impact and forces going through these delicate joints.
And that's pretty much why you said you probably had to give up the human massage, you know, therapy.
After 23 years, I hurt the injuries, because of the power and the techniques, you know, from the pushing and this and the you know, and years of that, it takes its toll, and you know, and of course, you know, dogs are much gentler, but at the end of the day, it's tiring when you're actually working with dogs, with, you know, 4 to 5 dogs a day that I'm working with. It's tiring, you know, but now I actually use this on the dogs, and I actually use it on my hands.
Even though Sarah has got the vet care model, which is the model which is CE marked for animal application, within the Photizo range, just for the audience that don't know, we have a 5 different machines, 3 of which have a medical CE, but essentially they all do the same job in the effects they create. They've just got a different level of doses. So the good old Photizo vet care, which is the one obviously predominantly used by practitioners working with animals, is an appropriate level of dose for many animal species. And you know, it's very brutal for the equine guys. You know, I'm sure people that work in equine rehabilitation will know how brutal it is on the body. So yeah, that's something to be mindful of for sure.
Yes.
But yeah, going back to about the types of case incorporating, one thing that we do want to mention also is actually the standard Photizo. When you press the button, it lets off a beep like that. You can hear that. So it beeps when it starts a dose, and it beeps when it finishes the dose, which is ideal, especially when you've got it buried in deep hair on a body. You know, sometimes if you're working on other areas of the body, you can't necessarily see, or you know, you're not really listening for the beep. However, there are cases where that's been a problem with the beep. So
it has, it was for me. I found especially working with dogs, rescue dogs, or just dogs that are in a lot of pain. So you get this neurofascial pain, and they become very, very sensitive. I don't know if whether you're out there and you've noticed that with your dogs, they might suddenly bark a little bit more. They're susceptible to stimuli around them, and they get phobias, you know, and noise phobias, you know, and it could literally be just dropping something on the floor, or just suddenly they're hearing a noise behind them, and they get reactive to that, a little bit more reactive to that. So I was finding that with some of the rescue dogs I'm working with, or dogs that were just having that sensitivity due to the pain, long-term discomfort they've been feeling, that as soon as I was about to implement Photizo, the beep, I'd spent so much time getting them into a position of relaxation and trust, obviously, for body work to start. But as soon as they heard a beep, they completely came out of that, and they sort of turn, not ever snapped or anything, but they would turn, run away, and then they didn't want you near them again. It was like you'd lost that trust. And that's something that I just didn't want to experience again, because it can take a long time to build that. You know, sometimes it can happen straight away, and we get some good that do, but there are times that not, and it takes time, and pain takes time to deal with and things. So anyway, so I literally then called up gorgeous Ruth here, And I was just like, help me, help me,
How
help
can we
my
make this
dogs.
silent?
How
So,
can and I
yeah.
said, I need this. I need to use this on my dogs, but I don't want to hear anything. I don't want them to hear anything. I need to be able to do this. And then and that was it from there.
Yeah.
He says, can you help me? Can you put a stopper on this one, please?
Yeah. So
can you take it away?
that feature, although it's standard with the machine, it's easily rectified on a permanent basis. So instead of having a retrospective modification on and having to pay for that extra modification, Sarah did a great little video of one little sound sensitive Chihuahua Chico, and we sent it off to the manufacturers, and from that I'm delighted to say the manufacturers took that on board for the animal model only. They've now made a secondary off choice of machine, the silent
Photizo.
version, so people
You're welcome.
can buy off the shelf the silent vet care. So yeah,
and it's great, you know, and I still work with the beep as well, you know, the beep there, but it is just, you know, for me, I know the dogs that you know, my clients that I'm about to work with, my dogs I'm working with, and also clients, my human clients that are looking to get a Photizo as well, that we can decide then which one is going to be best for them to the either the pain state or the physical state that their dog is in at that time, to how they're going to, you know, because there are some that actually have the beep on and the dog doesn't mind it at all, absolutely loves it, you know. So but there are just times. So for me, you know, it works really.
Thought we'd cover that. So don't know if we've covered this, but the other
we're looking at a little bit. Oh, are we just literally, no, we were just talking about how to incorporate it in, something you can use on its own, I'm saying after surgery, as well, and obviously incorporating it into helping break down scar tissue after surgery, after the scar has hit are obviously formed, but then also I didn't just mention on there as well that it's also, say, thinking about the dog or animal that you're working on, is what's happening. Are they about to go into, are they waiting, are you dealing with compensatory stresses because they're going in,
are you prehabbing?
Are they prehabbing, so they're about to have surgery. So I know that then that we would normally, you know, ease their compensations, you know, and obviously we're easing compensations and we are encouraging, you know, that circulation and get ready. We're doing that with our hands. But also, once again, that this is where this is fantastic, because you actually work that area, get the blood into that area. So it isn't okay they're having an operation, like another gorgeous case that we've been working on, ghosts, having an operation right into an ear. Then this would be where normally you wouldn't think of massaging a dog's head, you know, you wouldn't normally, but hey ho, you know, this is it. So using the Photizo in and around all over on the area, getting that area ready,
to give it a bit of a head start.
It is just it's giving it a head start. So all the, you know, because there's a lot of trauma that's going to happen around the area following surgery. So to actually, you know, activate that energy within the surrounding cells, increasing the circulation, increasing that blood flow, is just is a great way to prepare that area for surgery, and just aid in you know, helping recovery, sort of a little bit of more of a speedier recovery, you know.
That's very, very worth mentioning. So shall we move on to really just giving some other practitioners some advice about you know, incorporating
yes I can say yes enough times. When you this is just an experience of what I found with the dogs I treat, is that when you're incorporating, I'm just going by some of the things that I've experienced with my dogs firsthand. Now there's been hundreds that I've worked with this, is that when we work with our dog, when we're approaching a dog ready for you know, helping to heal or recover and manage, we work with a dog with kindness, gentleness, with intent. So when we know that our hands are going to be on these animals, we're doing it with an intent to make changes, you know, to benefit them, to help heal them. But also it's with observation. And this is a vital one and a very important one. And we know that as practitioners, we have to look, because, you know, we need to know how they're feeling about the treatment that we're doing. Are they in pain? So we look for signs in their body language and their movements and how they are. So observation is just key throughout. So when you are utilizing the Photizo, don't forget they've never seen this weird and wonderful thing before, you know, that's right, especially because it beeps as well. You know, it doesn't squeak, it beeps, and it's got a light, and it can be very scary, and I've witnessed this, you know. And so I've gone in, you know, first time in, you know, Mary, pop up my new thing, I can do this thing, and you've gone in and you think, where this wonderful dog would normally let me stroke, and I'd be in and sat down, and then I would produce this thing, run out, and treatment over, and I'd feel just terrible. What have I done? So it made me realize very quickly then that no, it's an introduction. You know, we introduce a dog to us. We let them smell us. They, you know, they feel our hands. We introduce, and we do it very, very carefully, because it is built on trust, respect for each other, us understanding, and getting that acceptance. So think of it as the same. Treat the Photizo, I keep saying that the wrong way, Photizo as Photizo. Yeah, so think of that as an extension of your hand. So that is just one big you know, piece of advice. So yeah, treat it with just introduce. I actually place it there, let them lick it. Sometimes if they're allowed treats on it, I put a little treat on it, so let them lick it up, so they're not frightened of the machine. Sometimes they'll actually even pop the light on the floor with a little treat, so they will actually go near to actually get the treat and not be frightened of that. So that's just something that I do, that if you are actually using a Photizo and you're having trouble with this, then that is another thing that you can actually do for that. We'll go on to other things in a second, but just why it's on my mind is that with the Photizo, after a number of applications, it can the base can get, it's not hot, it's not going to burn you, but it's warm enough to make a difference to how the dog how it feels to whether it's I keep mentioning dog because I work with dogs and other animals, but I'd say for this purpose I'll say dog. But yeah, so it can actually, especially if you think of a sensitive area as well, but it can just get warm. And you say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I'm probably on about the 6th or 8th application. It can actually get a little bit warm.
Remember, you're using it on multiple
I'm using it on multiple points. Yeah, so and especially when I mentioned that I use it quite close to the start in helping them relax. So I'm actually working throughout the whole spine, through the cervical, thoracic and lumbar spine. So I'm actually going down the spine to help get that big relaxation. So I'm very aware of that if it just gets that little bit warm, then they may turn, and then you've lost that little bit of connection that you've been working hard on. So just be aware of that, but literally placing it down, but like a minute, and so you can crack on and do something else, and then it's just it's gone cool again. It's very quickly, but just being aware of that if you are. But if you're just doing the odd, you know, a little dose here and there, but when I'm working throughout the body, you know, at a rate. Another piece is that there are times, but that maybe, you know, you will have one of your others that is sensitive, and maybe they're not ready to accept soft tissue work either, you know, but maybe they are frightened of this, but you know that actually this is actually going to be really beneficial for them, for their treatment, that you can actually just place it, if they're lying down on their side, is actually press it on, and
Lay
also
on
place
its side.
place it on, just rest it on its side, and say like there we go. So your animal is there, they're lying down, and say this is their back, or it could be their leg, and they're lying down, and just place it there, rest it on its side, and just leave it. And just leave it. It doesn't even have to be just touching them, but it's just there as close can be. And therefore then you can actually stay close to your animal and then just talk softly, or you're able to just provide like a passive touch and hold why this is there, or just leave them, you know. So if you're struggling, if they're oversensitive, they're not ready to handle touch at all, or this, then yes, you know, there is that option. If you're behind them, their legs and head are facing the opposite way, you can actually go down the back and help get that relaxation response straight away, help release those endorphins without even touching them. You know, you can make a start on a treatment that you wouldn't necessarily been able to. So that is really beneficial. The other another little piece of advice as well is the way that you can actually introduce, once again, for sensitivity. Now, I know that we know as practitioners, when it comes to massage, it's good to start with a connection. Remember, with our animals, they're on a much higher realm, but they're very intuitive, and they sense our mental state. They know when we're stressed, and it can play a huge part in how they accept treatment and how they are. And generally, you know, when you find that ourselves, you know, when we're not feeling well, we're actually already in a heightened stress state. So they're kind of like maybe up there a little bit anyway. And then you're stressed, you've just come in from, or you've got having a tough time at home, and you know, but these things happen, we've all been there. But to go in that state, it can alter that treatment. So when you're actually, don't forget, you're providing energy.
That's all it is. It's a form of energy.
Is energy. And your dog, the animal that you are treating, the dog in question, you know, we are providing a healing energy, because the energies around us is in our hands. So our hands are actually going on the animal, and the dog obviously has energy. So we are just surrounded by energy at that point. So it's really a really important piece of advice, if we're not doing this already, is, you know, if you've done Reiki and you're already attuned to that, you know, but if not, then really you're going in there, remember, with intent. Your sole purpose is to help this wonderful dog, cat, whoever you're treating, in front of you. So you want to really clear your mind to be able to focus solely on the energy that you're going to be delivering here, and the energy in you and your hands, and just take lovely deep breaths, focus purely on the animal, and that can make a huge difference on how they accept the treatment. So that's just a little piece of a recommendation I can for that. But focus on your breathing. Breathe with your dog when you're actually providing treatment. You know, give them the energy that you have, you know.
Almost getting in sync with each other. It's another part of the connection, isn't it?
It is. And I can just say at that point is that I have found, after doing this for a long time anyway with hands, and now utilizing this, that it does increase your intuition, because you can you feel, I know there's probably a lot of you out there that can get what I'm saying here, is that you can actually place your hand, and when you're really in tune, when you've really cleared your thoughts, and you're a part of this whole energy production, that it guides you. It almost guides you to where this area of discomfort and pain may be. And there are certain times when I've actually been, I can see the area of distortion, I can see the swelling, I can see that area of tightness and that it's there, but then I will be guided in a completely different place. And a restriction would have been easy.
You can't wrap this stuff
you
up
can't.
in a textbook,
No,
you
can't. And
it's,
but when you're working, you're working outside the box. I feel that you are working outside the box. And also I just feel that you opening up a Pandora's box when you're teaching the dog. You think I'm going in there because we have restriction in that spot, and then you say, oh, there we go, you open it up and it goes didn't see that coming. And it is a bit like that. So I think if you can actually think out the box and know that the minute you go in to that area, there are lots of layers. It's complex, it's not easy. But if you just think, you take a breath and you work with it, and you give it everything with intent, take your time, with just keeping focused, keep that observation, that softness, that gentleness, so that is that. Also is the actual maybe using it for the first time. And if the dog that you are treating is not liking it, but it's quite acceptant of touch, and it may just be just nervous. So if you go back to the first bit is introduce, but also it's I don't know if I could just get time. Could I have time just to grab my false dog up, my little puppy dog up there? Because I could show this.
Yeah.
I could show this. Bear with. See those up there? I'm going to go and grab one. These are my spares ears. At the moment, I have a gorgeous greyhound lying right next to me on the floor.
We do.
Right here. There we go.
I think it's going to be featured in another.
Yes, we are going to use this gorgeous Jax, who's recovery from a horrendous accident. So yes, so if we can see, there we go. Archibald. Archibald. Right. So this is just a little example of what I did to help me. So like I said, if you've got a dog that's already is able to handle touch, even if it's just a passive touch as compared to an active stroking or here. So what I do is that I always have, before I even implement the Photizo, I always have 2 points of contact or 1 point of contact. So I'm either like resting into my dog, so where they can feel my leg, part of my body as well. But more than anything, there is definitely a hand placed on. So I always have a hand. Now this is either on the neck where they feel comfortable. So it could be on their neck, it could be the middle of the back, it could be their lower back, it could even be on, say, on the chest, it could be on the shoulder. But I just place it there and I hold it there for a good couple of minutes. From that point there where they feel relaxed and there's a trust, and they feel nice and calm, then I will then place the Photizo on and then turn it on. So that is one area. So if you feel that if there's no point of contact and you've just gone on, you've given them a little stroke and you've gone like that on an area that you want, that's at that point then when I've known that they can turn around.
Because they can be highly sensitive, especially if you're maybe over an acupoint or something.
Well, that's it. Yes, that's right. And so there's the acupressure points on the dog they are just everywhere. So you can just touch a certain area and you may get a reaction. Once again, then they're not accepting and it's taken away the effect of the whole treatment. So you want to go nice and steady. So that is just the one method I use, where actually I just place on. Also, I incorporate it within a stroke. So I can actually be gently coming down at a very, very slow pace, and I will then introduce just above my hand and then slowly stroke it down, keep it there, and then move the hand down. So that is just another little tip of how to incorporate, and just taking it really, really steady.
Fantastic. Well, that's brilliant. And what we also spoke about was on a probably more practical side. So obviously there's a great deal that you do within an actual treatment session, but one thing that's really important for some of your clients, the owners themselves, is they want to feel part of the,
Yes.
they want to be engaged.
Yes.
So
yeah, we talked about that.
yeah, you can explain quite simple terms in, because they might not have ever seen a device like a Photizo before, but it's a really the whole idea of using this in this form of device, being light emitting diode, not laser, is that it's a home use device. So it's not just for use in a professional treatment session, and you can coach your animal parents, can't you, to feel
no,
part.
That's right. And I do, and that's actually on one of the little advice bits and recommendations, that one, especially for if the dog you're working on is sensitive or a bit shy of you and a bit nervous of you as well, but actually getting their parent involved maybe is another way of helping them sort of like calm and utilizing it. But it's something that I do because I'm recommending them to actually utilize this into treatment for continuity as well. But I like to get them involved, and I never do anything. I always explain before I do the treatment anyway. I explain the type of things I'm going to be doing, so they're very aware during the consultation phase of my treatments what I'm going to be doing. And at the consultation stage, I've already discussed the modalities that I incorporate, so I very much involve them. And it's really, for me, it's really important, especially when you're looking at aftercare and the management of their dog, of their dog's condition, is that they feel comfortable and they feel a part of their dog's recovery and management. This is really important. So what I do is that throughout the treatment, is that I actually can get them involved, and I'll get them to hold, and I'll get to treat a particular area, perhaps maybe while I'm working on another area. So, which is great for me because I'm covering a wider area anyway. Yeah. So once I've implemented it, say around the neck and shoulders, because I know I'm going to be working with restriction there, I can now go and work on this and give them some soft tissue bodywork while they are actually pre-prepping, or working on in around their dogs. Perhaps they've got an arthritic hip, or knee.
Hip dysplasia.
So I'm showing them, I'm telling them what it's doing, and I'm telling what I'm aiming for that response to be, and that's why we're working on that area. And they really getting involved. And not only that, then they're holding this machine, they're getting the feel of it, they're realizing how light it is, how easy it is to implement, and knowing that this pocket-sized device is going to be something that's quite profound and play an important role in helping to manage their dog's
when you're
condition.
not there,
when I'm not there. So yes, it plays quite an important role. So that's a good, it's one, if you've got, like I say, the nervous dog, and that was that bit of advice on how to implement that, utilizing their parent to actually help. But also I find it a really important, quite prominent in my treatments. I ask them to get involved. It gives them a bit of a deeper understanding of what you're doing and what you're trying to accomplish.
So it's just an additional thing, because sometimes you'll teach them a little bit of simple release.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they get all of that anyway.
They get all of that anyway. So it just gives them a lot more confidence, and recognise maybe some signs of when they need to be
well that's it,
incorporating some of those techniques that you've
that's right. So with the aftercare anyway, absolutely. So with us practitioners, we know that we I always educate my clients anyway. They know a lot more about their dog's body. They know how to recognize how to recognize signs of pain and discomfort. That they are then taught various massage techniques, gentle stretch techniques, range of motion. More often than not, they're given rehabilitation exercises to do, and then you've got the lifestyle management, which is me just going through their whole home, when I'm being allowed. But I often just go anyway and have a look.
Of slippery floors.
No, but we discuss that, But most importantly, we work as a team, and it has to be a team. You know, we're working with vets, we're working with, it could be a nutritionist, it could be a behaviorist, and that, but we're working as a team.